it's Mark Shell here. This is the Mark Art Show coming to you from Galeria de las Islas. Now what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to start a series today, and I'm going to leave at the end of the day kind of you up in the air a little bit. Then you'll have to look at tomorrow as we continue on. Because normally this series I would do in a seminar or something which would take an hour or 2 hours, and obviously I'm not going to speak for an hour doing this video. So we'll go our normal time. But I keep getting this question, and I get it constantly on Facebook, I get it constantly on emails, and even when I just go and talk to artists. And the question is simply this: how do I sell my art? And it's really a difficult thing to answer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is talk about the art business and talk about it, and I'm sure you'll see there's one huge elephant in the room constantly, and you're going to have to work with that and deal with that as we go through it. Okay, so I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been an artist who's been full-time painting and having to work at different periods because there just wasn't enough money. And I've also now been working with galleries an awful long time. So where do we start? Okay, let's look at, I've broken it down to 5 categories of artists. And those 5 categories of artists kind of give you an idea of why it's hard to sell in this market. Now, selling is not easy. I know that. I understand that more than anybody. And I realize for artists, it's a huge fear thing. It's a huge, oh my God, I've got to get up and talk to people. I have to go and relate to people. Yes. So let's go. Let's start with this, okay? 5 categories. The first person we're going to talk about is the artist who I call the hobby artist. This is the artist, like my mother, who painted purely for the love of art. She only wanted to give paintings away. Once she got through her little bit of a selling period, if you've read my book, she got out of that totally and just wanted to paint because she loved painting. She loved giving paintings away. She loved that it made people happy. It gave them joy and bring joy into the lives of people who probably would never buy a painting. And she met that and gave away to those people. So all her validation came from, I paint. That's where her validation came from, that she was an artist, and that's all that mattered to her. Selling was not part of her thoughts. Now, she didn't have to sell, obviously. If you've read my book, you'll know that. My father was quite capable of looking after her in a manner of which her choosing to be. She could. Okay, so she's one of those ones, and I admire these artists. These are the artists who paint purely because they love art, and they paint purely for the love of painting, and they don't get involved in the business of art. They just give away to people. Okay, and that's great, and I admire that. And, you know, a lot of artists maybe should even consider that. Okay, the next thing is the selling hobby artist. Now, this is the person or a couple who have got to the place of retirement, and in their retirement, they need to find to do something, so all of a sudden, they become artists. And they begin painting, and as they travel around and do things, they do little paintings, and it becomes, they give them away in the beginning, give them away, and then as they give them, they find that people want to buy them, and they begin to sell their paintings. Then they sell purely for extra cash. They do not need this money. Most of these hobby artists are living on a pension or have superannuation, and they're quite capable of supporting themselves, but they enter into our business and they begin to sell. And that obviously has an effect on all the other artists who want to sell. So the hobby artist is one of them who is totally supported, is financially usually fairly well off, and able to live the lifestyle they want to live. Plus they paint, and they sell their paintings in markets and on the roadside or wherever, in small galleries, in small shows. So now they're a valid part of the business. They are there in the business, they're a valid part of the business, and we've got to accept that they're there. We can't change it. Okay, next one we have is the supported artist. The supported artist is the one who has a spouse or a partner, or they have a patron who supports them, and they don't need to worry about paying the bills. The bills are paid for. Their art is to be sold at some definite date when they do sell it, but there's no pressure on them to sell. The one who has the patron, the collector who supports the artist, well, that artist then gives majority of their work that they produce to that collector, to that patron, and then it's up to them what they do with it. Okay, that's a kind of a contractual basis that they into, and it always ends in tears. Well, 99% of the time it does. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's one of those things that I don't advise anybody to get into. But people see that I want to be an artist, I need to have money, this person's prepared to pay me so much a month, I give them my paintings. They forget that eventually if they do become famous, this person's got a big wad of paintings that they got at a very good price, and they're going to sell them off as soon as you become famous. And that's business, and I have no problem with that. If you sign the contract, you've got to live with the contract. So we have the supported artist. They have a husband or a wife or a partner or someone or a patron who can support them. They don't have to worry about paying their bills. They don't have to worry about buying their supplies. They are totally looked after. They sell when they want to sell or when they enter in different shows, different competitions. And I'm not putting this down. I understand there's a lot of people like that, and that's fine. And when they do earn some money, it goes back into the family or the situation that they're in. And that's okay. But they're fortunate in that they don't have to worry about their bills, okay? That paying the bills. The fourth person is the person I spoke about yesterday, who is the working day artist. The artist who is a full-time artist but spends their daylight hours working to earn enough money to pay their bills, to buy the house, to put the kids through school, to do all the things they have to do, plus buy art supplies. And then they paint in their spare time at night time between 7 and 12, just an idea, kind of an example. And then they paint their holidays, and they paint their weekends, and they produce art and they sell it. And they're usually the ones, I think they're the best situation of the lot. It's the situation, if I had my time over again, I would choose to do. I think long term it works better. So you have, everything is being paid for. You can afford to buy the house. You can afford to pay the kids. You can afford to do all those things you have to do. Plus you can paint. And then the money you earn from your art, you can't spend it. The money you earn from your art, you sold it away into an account. And this gives you financial independence. When you decide you want to retire and go full-time in the art, you can support yourself because your art has supported you as well. Now, the other good thing that comes from this is that over those 20 or 30 years that you've been a working day full-time artist, that you have built a career. So you've had shows, you've had solo shows, group shows, and you've been in. So that you've built a career so that by the time you do stop and go full-time, you're already well known. You've already got a career going. You're already selling, you already have collectors, and you have a nice bank account behind you, which you have earned from your art, which is there to support you and your spouse or partner into the future. The working day artist, I think, is the key to all the art. Okay? Now, that artist is free from the worries and bills because they're provided for themselves. Then we have the final one. We have the self-supporting artist. This is the artist that's gone out, it's decided that they're going to become a full-time artist, and they're going to live from the brush, they're going to live from sales, and they go forward. And there is huge pressure to sell their work. Every day, the one thing that's running through your mind is, I must sell. I must sell. You have no choice. You have bills to pay, rents to pay, food to buy. You have materials to get. So there's huge pressure on you to sell. Now, most times this artist has one skill. Most times, not all times, but most times this artist has one skill, and that's the skill of creating art. So here we go. They go out in the business, they have one skill, they can create art, they can do beautiful paintings. And now the elephant in the room is sell. You must sell this work to pay your bills. You're not selling it to sock it away for the future. You're not selling it to just continue to have the nice lifestyle of being a retiree. None of those things. You are selling to survive. And from this we get the starving artist, because the majority of the time they don't survive. They don't make it because it's hard. Because you see, not only do you have to create art, you have to do a whole lot of other things. You have to sell the art. You have to promote the art. You have to sell the art. You have to market the art. You have to sell the art. You have to also sell the art and sell the art. You have to be the delivery person. You have to be the maintenance person, and you have to sell the art. You have to be able to run a small business, and you have to be able to sell your art. Do you see the issue here? The issue is that all of a sudden you're in a business. And so many artists, when they go full-time, do not recognize the fact that this is a small business and it needs cash to survive. Cash is life. No cash, no life. And that's the way it goes. If you don't sell, you don't get the money. You don't get the money, you don't have a life. It is something that you face. Now, I face this. I understand the dilemma of going into the studio knowing I have to sell paintings to pay the bills, and I have no idea how I'm going to do that, and I spend 3/4 of the day staring at the studio walls in total panic. What am I going to do? I want to sell my art, but I get myself into the place where I can't sell my art. I put my art into exhibitions, it doesn't sell. And so I get to the point that I hear from so many artists saying, nobody wants to buy my art. Well, the reason nobody wanted to buy my art is nobody knew I existed. That's the problem. I was unknown. And if you are unknown, guess what? You're unknown. And there lies the problem. That is the problem for all artists, 4 categories of artists anyway, is that if you're not known, how do you sell your work? And the key is you've got to become known. And we're going to talk about that in the next few days. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I've gone too long. I just want you to know that I really care about you artists, and that's why I'm doing this. I wouldn't normally do what I'm doing and giving out all this material for you because, obviously I got to live too. But I just sense there's such a question out there. Nobody wants my art. How do I sell it? That I want to try and answer it. Okay, you have a fabulous day today. I look forward to the day when you come and visit me here in Galeria de las Islas. Hey, be nice to people. Be kind to people. Remember, give away hugs and smiles. They're free. And I'm going to talk to you tomorrow about this subject. You have a great day. Ciao.